And thanks again for everybody participating. And we're going to transition right now. I want to invite my colleague, Dr. Deborah Jackson of NSF, to come to the stage. We're going to now do the program for the Perfect Pitch Contest results. And so I encourage all the student speakers to stick around, and if there's a representative from their center, we will be doing photos right after the session.
I'd like to call Tom Peterson to come up to the stage, please. Go ahead and take a seat. Oh, I'm going to introduce you first. And then... Okay. I'm going to start this introduction with a quote. The true aim of everyone who aspires to be a teacher should be not to impart his own opinion, but to kindle minds. That's a quote by Frederick Robertson, a 19th century clergyman. For those of you that have been at this meeting all week, so let's, on the theme of kindling minds, I'm about to introduce you to someone who's, above all else, an excellent purveyor of the kindling of minds. If you've been here at this meeting all week, you heard Tina Selig's plenary when she announced or shared with you the moment when she had that spark that led her to realize that her calling was to pursue something in the engineering genre. In my conversations with Tom, he had told me that his magic moment happened in 6th grade. Basically, he wrote a paper on chemical engineering, and it was at that moment that he realized that he wanted to be an engineer. He's been at NSF for the past 4 years. He's been a wonderful leader, and I really would like you to, I'm going to share his personality with you by introducing him to give you a few words.
Thank you, Deborah. So the moral of that story is be careful what you tell your colleagues when you're standing in front of the elevator. So I've spoken to this group, I think, just about every year that I've been here at NSF. In fact, the very first presentation that I did, the NSF presentation, I guess, was in 2008, when I actually wasn't officially yet on board. I'd been named the AD, but I wasn't yet officially in that capacity. And so as I stand before you today, unless my calendar changes in the next 3 days, this will be my last official NSF presentation as an AD for engineering. So I think it's quite appropriate. I'm basically finishing the way I began, talking to the leaders of the ERC programs throughout the country. I come from a university that has 2 ERCs. I was an active part of one, and I certainly believe very strongly in the power of the ERC program, not only to transform the science and the engineering in the particular area that each individual ERC focuses on, but to transform the university itself. I can certainly say the ERC that I was involved in at the University of Arizona was certainly transformative to my college and to the university. So I think it's safe to say that as assistant directors go, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more devoted ERC evangelist than me. I guess if I were forced to put one word as a definition for ERCs and what they're all about, I'd choose the word innovation. You've heard a lot about innovation. You heard from Tina. You've talked about innovation through this entire meeting. I don't believe there's a better structure to realize the key ingredients in the innovation ecosystem than the ERCs, whether you talk about the focus on basic research, the attention that's paid to translational activities that move basic research out of the laboratory into the public sector, and the desire to tackle truly grand challenge problems. And of course, the whole systems level thinking. I mean, this is, after all, the three-plane chart view of the world. And in my professional lifetime, I'll have to say that I cannot remember a time, other than the time we're in right now, where there has been more focused attention on innovation. It's touted as the key to our economic growth. It's supposed to be the solution to our jobs crisis. It's one of the dominant characteristics, frankly, that distinguishes the United States from so many other countries in the world. And I think NSF has tried to articulate ways in which it can play important key roles in instantiating and supporting the innovation ecosystem. And I think there's three key ingredients to innovation. One is a talented workforce that's capable of stimulating creative ideas. Second, developing a good idea, which is most often the fruits of basic research. And third, a pathway that can turn that idea into a product or a process of societal benefit that can reach, hopefully, some broad market. And the effort really has to begin, I believe, with identification and recruitment and retention of enough talented people to keep the U.S. engineering workforce in a leadership position. It's a daunting challenge, frankly, with fewer than 500,000 of the 12 million students at four-year universities studying engineering. 1.5 million individuals get bachelor's degrees at our four-year institutions every year, and only 70,000 of those are in engineering. There's almost 3 million graduate students, only 150,000 of those are in engineering. And our college graduation of engineers places us behind virtually every developed country, other developed country in the world, and frankly behind a number of countries that aren't so developed. And further, I think, as you all know, and you heard in a great presentation in a session led by Brooke Coley just yesterday, the population studying engineering is not representative of this country. While we saw a slow but steady increase in the percentage of women in engineering from the mid-70s when I graduated until 2000, the percentage of women studying engineering and receiving bachelor's degrees hasn't fundamentally changed in the last 10 years. And if you look at statistics for African Americans and Hispanics gaining engineering degrees, it's similarly gloom. Modest increases over the, say, 25-year period from the mid-70s into 2000, and then essentially flatlining. And I think to exclude half the population based on gender and a large number of the remaining half on the basis of ethnic background is to deny the profession the diversity of thought that's absolutely critical to solving today's grand challenge problems. It's not just a question of simple social justice, although there's certainly an issue of social justice that's there. It's frankly an issue of survival of the discipline of engineering. And without being a little bit melodramatic, I think it's an issue of survival of this country as an exemplar of innovation. So where do the ERCs come in? Clearly, we've all contributed mightily, I think, to ingredients 2, the basic research, and sometimes 3, the translational research that's absolutely critical to innovation. And in our own way, I think we've contributed to ingredient 1, the development of talented people capable of being innovative. But by and large, I think we've been passive rather than active contributors to the development of new innovators. By that I mean we've offered outstanding research and educational opportunities to those students who have come to the ERCs through our various departmental programs, but how much have we actually used the structure of ERCs to attract students to engineering overall? How much have we truly capitalized on the excitement of an ERC to recruit new undergraduate students, new graduate students, new faculty to academia? How much have we done collectively, not as 15 or 20 individual ERCs, but as a confederation of ERCs, in a coordinated, systematic way to contribute to the recruitment and retention of the most diverse population of students and faculty? How much have we done collectively to team up with the best programs in respective institutions that focus, for example, on pre-college outreach? I know there are ERCs. These are ERCs after all, and R stands for research. So these are research centers, and you're expected to do research. But there isn't a distinction between research and education and diversity. There are no diversity centers. We really have diversity as a key ingredient to success in any center, whether the focus is on research, on teaching, on innovation, on entrepreneurship, or anything else you want to call it. So please understand, this is not an admonition to the ERC program, but I think it's really a challenge. It's an opportunity. From government to academia to industry, we are frankly starving for answers on how we can recapture the innovative entrepreneurial spirit of this country. And I think the ERC program can be leaders, national and even international leaders in this. You can raise the collective consciousness of the ERC program if you band together and tackle this problem collectively. So I offer for your consideration 4 points. 1, I'd like you to think about what you can develop as a confederation of ERCs in the way of a scalable template for effective education outreach and inclusion activities. Secondly, who can you partner with so you avoid reinventing the wheel? My good friend and colleague Yanis Mayulis, who is the Dean of Engineering at Tufts University, was persistent and tenacious at convincing his home state of Massachusetts to develop an engineering curriculum and an understanding of the basic engineering processes within elementary and middle and high schools, in much the same way as you'd expect to have science and math and social science backgrounds. It took a long time and a lot of effort working with school districts. He's now the president of the Boston Museum of Science, and they've developed a nationwide curriculum that brings these kinds of concepts into the elementary and middle and high schools. What could we do as a center, as a confederation of centers, in partnering with their activities so that we don't have to reinvent those things, but could rather capitalize on their benefits, and they could capitalize on the reach that we have into the academic and industrial community. Third, what are the reasonable goals that can be set against which you can actually evaluate the benefits of the programs that we would have? It's totally unrealistic to expect that ERC programs alone, or even NSF alone, is going to move the needle in terms of the percentage of women studying engineering or underrepresented groups studying engineering. But you can define specific metrics that you can measure against to determine whether the programs that you've invested it in are actually paying off. And finally, just some word of encouragement. You can't do this alone. NSF has to be here to help you. And I think in many ways we've missed some opportunities to do that, and I hope you'll see greater opportunities going forward. Even in our own directorate, we have a division of engineering education and centers, and I don't believe we've fully capitalized on the synergy that can take place when the education activities are working hand in glove with the center activities. We don't coordinate our education activities from that division to other divisions in engineering. We don't fully coordinate the activities of engineering education within engineering with the education activities in education and human resources. And we certainly don't coordinate what we do educationally at NSF with what's going on, for example, at other science funding agencies or the Department of Education. Plenty of opportunities for us to work on those coordinations. And I believe that it's incumbent on NSF to support you in those endeavors. So let me conclude just by saying that it's really not often that one gets the opportunity to participate in and contribute to programs with national or even international reach. And NSF has given me that opportunity, and it's also given me an opportunity to look from the inside what a jewel of a program Lynn Preston and her colleagues have developed within the ERCs. It's been a privilege to work with her. I'm really humbled by the accomplishments that she's made over the 25+ years of this program. And I truly believe that we are at the threshold of making some new levels of accomplishments and contributions that this program can make. And I'll be admiring it from the distance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom, for those words of wisdom. Now we come to the moment when we will share with you who won the various 3 levels of the 3 different prizes for the ERC-wide perfect pitch competition. This is the second time that we've had an ERC-wide contest You might be a little confused because last year we were referring to it as an elevator pitch contest. All of a sudden you show up this year and we're calling it a perfect pitch contest. I suppose it might be useful to give you a little bit of background on how we ended up misspelling the name between last year and this year. What we realized, this would be, we is the Industrial Liaison Officer Working Group for the ERCs, is that the ERC goals as far as this competition are broader than the goals would be for a typical elevator pitch contest. An elevator pitch contest, in fact, would be a subset of the perfect pitch. And as a general rule, elevator pitches are associated with the idea of communicating your ideas related to a startup. What happens is by changing to perfect pitch, we broaden the goals of the competition. It allows for pitching a company, a NUCO or something like that, for a startup, but it also allows you to pitch other things. And the goal, our ultimate goal, is to for the students for you students to acquire skills in being able to concisely and compellingly deliver a message or inform on your topic, regardless of the development stage of the work that you're doing. In addition, this is consistent with the overall ERC goals in terms of commercialization priorities. Our first priority is to work with our industrial advisory board members of the ERC to help develop and translate the technology. And the second goal is to try to move it to people that are in small, well-established firms. And failing those, we would then try to spin them out or do startups or something like that. What we're finding is that people are being very creative in the ways that they find to help translate the technology. And ultimately, we want you to be successful, so you try to find the solution that offers you the best chance of being successful in achieving your ultimate goal. Finally, what we realized is that by changing or going with the name Perfect Pitch, we also have an opportunity to brand the perfect pitch concept to the ERC program. So let me just quickly review the competition goals. Basically, and these were established by the industrial liaison officers, is to basically, the first goal is to teach students to be concise and persuasive. Stress the importance of oral communication and public speaking. Beyond scientists, you also should have oratory skills. Stimulate students to think about the bigger picture and application areas. And stimulate good performance under pressure. Stimulate a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. We want you to, we use this as a way of cross-pollinating student entrepreneurship experiences between the centers. Hopefully there's some communication amongst the students about what works and what doesn't work when competing in this contest. And we're trying to empower you as students to lead. Just a quick summary of the perfect pitch framework for those that didn't experience the contest directly. The pitch problem, what you basically were asked to do, the students come, they pitch a problem or opportunity that's connected with the ERC strategic vision or fits under the ERC umbrella, and pitch it in a clear, compelling manner by first addressing the problem or opportunity, defining it, proposing the solution, and then sharing information about the potential impact. With regard to this contest, we have 2 levels of awards. The students receive the first level, each of the winners, and we will have 3 winners, receives a certificate and a check. The third place winner receives a $1,000 check. The second place winner will receive a $2,000 check, and the first place winner a $5,000 check. And the ERC home of the first place winner will win the trophy, the Preston Trophy, to take home and put on display for a year. Okay, so now that I've shared that with you, I'm going to introduce Tom Peterson to actually name the winners.
All right. This is what's called just-in-time instructions here. So normally we would give this third place, second place, first place, but since we're going to fly it with the slide has already been flashed on first place, we're going to do it the other way around. So, is that applause for me or for the first place winner? So the first place winner, as you can all see, is Iva Ivans, and hopefully she will correct me if I've mispronounced her name. And the title of her presentation was The Neurochip Restoring Limb Function in Spinal Cord Injury. All right, okay. Again, just in time, we're going to have her actually deliver her pitch now rather than after all the awards are presented. So the floor is yours. Sorry about that.
Have you ever been in a car accident or taken a really bad fall? What if it had left you paralyzed? It can happen to anyone, athletes, actors, even scientists and engineers. Just one accident and you could lose everything. 250,000 Americans have suffered spinal cord injuries, the most common resulting in hand and arm paralysis. And the cost of their care is approaching $4 billion per year. But what can we do? Current treatments are not enough. No combination of physical therapy or electrical stimulation has been able to restore volitional control of a patient's paralyzed limbs. But that could all change. At the CSNE, we're working to engineer neural devices that help people. This one is designed for patients with spinal cord injuries. We call it the NeuroChip Plus, and it works as a prosthetic spinal cord, recording the intent to move in a patient's motor cortex, transmitting that signal around the injury, and stimulating healthy motor neurons below the injury in the spinal cord that activate muscles of the arm and hand. It is small, implantable, and customizable. Now, there's still a lot to do before this device can go to market, but if we are successful, we could drastically change the prognosis for spinal cord injury. Just imagine what it would be like to be able to feed yourself, dress yourself, or bathe yourself again after having others do it for you for years. Our device could truly transform lives.
So I would like for the center director and the ILO from the, well, no, we'll do that photo after. Okay. Yeah, okay. We'll do that later. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Never mind, Tom. Wait.
Okay, so we're going to do second.
Wait. Wait, it's all right. We'll learn. We're in real time.
Okay, so we'll introduce the second and third place winners, and then I would ask all the associated directors, et cetera, for the winners to come up. There's a whole list of pictures that need to be taken afterwards. Okay, so the second place winner from the Smart Lighting ERC, Rensselaer Polytechnic, Brian Fry. And the title of his presentation was Dynamic Capabilities of Visible Wavelength Light Emitting Diodes. Brian, you want to come up? And the third place winner from the University of Pittsburgh, associated with the RMB, ERC, Amy Chaya, the NeuroChip Plus, restoring limb function and spinal cord injury. Is this the same?
That's mine.
Yeah, that's what I thought. My colleague. So, would you like?
But there's the correct one.
Okay, let's try this one. Osteomag degradable metallic bone fixation. Amy, apologies. Please come up. Sorry about that.